بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Continuing to read about Tayammum in Sahih Muslim. This hadith, like we read last week, this and the first narrator mentioned here is a man named Shaqiq, and his name is Shaqiq ibn Salama. Shaqiq ibn Salama, and like what did you read about? Alqama. Thank you. Alqama. He was one of the closest students to Abdullah bin Mas'ud. Shaqiq said, عن شقيق قال كنت جالسا مع عبد الله وأبي موسى رضي الله عنهما. Shaqiq said, once I was sitting with Abdullah and Abu Musa. Who is Abdullah? Bin Mas'ud, just like last week. And Abu Musa? Al-Ash'ari. We know Abdullah bin Mas'ud is one of the earliest Muslims. He's from the tribe of Hudayl. He accepted Islam very early in Mecca. Who is Abu Musa al-Ash'ari?
He's Sahabi from Yemen.
He's from Yemen.
Yeah.
What's his name? Abdullah bin Qais. Abdullah bin Qais. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, he is from Yemen. He came from Yemen to join the Prophet ﷺ while the Prophet ﷺ was still in Mecca. And his the family who was traveling with him, they met on the way the Muslims who were leaving Mecca at the time, going to Abyssinia. And they told him, it's not safe for you to go to Mecca, to where the Prophet ﷺ is. You should join us and going to Abyssinia. So Abu Musa al-Ash'ari and his family who was with him went to Abyssinia before he came to the Prophet ﷺ. And he joined the Prophet ﷺ in Medina with the rest of the Muslims who came from Abyssinia in which year? No. It was after it was safe to return. When was it safe to return?
بعد الهجرة. العام السادس للهجرة.
بعد الفتح?
No. After Hudaybiyah. After Hudaybiyah, the Muslims in Abyssinia went to join the Prophet ﷺ, and Medina was now safe for them to travel. And they came to Medina after Khaybar, which was in the 7th year after Hijrah, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, later on the Prophet ﷺ sent him to teach the people of Yemen, where he came from. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, the Prophet ﷺ once said to him, you should have heard me listening to you read the Quran last night. لَقَدْ أُوتِيتَ مِزْمَارًا مِنْ مَزَامِيرِ آلِ دَاوُدَ. You were given one of the Psalms of Dawood. And Abu Musa said, لو كنت أعلم أنك تسمع لحبرته لك تحبيرا. If I knew you were listening, I would have decorated it even more for you. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, if I'm not mistaken, Prophet ﷺ sent him to Yemen, but later on he was Umar ibn Khattab appointed him as the governor of Basra. Shaqiq ibn Salama said, once I was sitting with Abdullah ibn Mas'ud and Abu Musa al-Ash'ari رضي الله عنهما. فقال أبو موسى يا أبا عبد الرحمن أرأيت لو أن رجلا أجنب فلم يجد الماء شهرا كيف يصنع بالصلاة? Abu Musa al-Ash'ari asked Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, O Abu Abd al-Rahman, tell me, if a person is in a state of janaba and water is not available to him for a month, what should he do with his prayers? Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu said, لا يتيمم وإن لم يجد الماء شهرا. He said he can't make tayammum for, instead of ghusl, if he needs to make ghusl, he can't do that even if he can't find water for a month. فقال أبو موسى فكيف بهذه الآية في سورة المائدة فلم تجدوا ماء فتيمموا صعيدا طيبا. Then Abu Musa said, what about this ayah in Surah Al-Ma'idah? And in the ayah, the ayah more or less is explicitly says if you can't. In the ayah explicitly, janaba is mentioned explicitly in the ayah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, if you can't find water, then find a clean piece of the earth and wipe your face and hands with it. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, and different wordings of this incident, and basically he didn't have a response to Abu Musa quoting that ayah. What he said was, لو رخص لهم في هذه الآية لأوشك إذا برد عليهم الماء أن يتيمموا بالصعيد. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said, if we gave people this concession, if we told that people it's okay to make tayammum even if you're junub and you need a shower, they would take it too far and they would make tayammum just because the water is too cold. Then Abu Musa narrated and told him about a specific incident. And here we have then the Sahaba narrating from other Sahaba. فقال أبو موسى لعبد الله ألم تسمع قول عمار. Didn't you hear what Ammar, who is Ammar?
Ammar ibn Yasir.
Ammar ibn Yasir. Ammar ibn Yasir, ألم تسمع قول عمار بعثني رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في حاجة فأجنبت فلم أجد الماء فتمرغت في الصعيد كما تمرغ الدابة ثم أتيت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فذكرت ذلك له. Ammar ibn Yasir, and what Ammar said that to Umar, what Abu Musa and Ibn Mas'ud are talking about is a conversation that took place between Ammar ibn Yasir and Umar ibn Khattab about the same situation. And Ammar ibn Yasir said to Umar that the Prophet ﷺ sent me out on a mission, on an errand, and I was in a state of janaba. I needed to make a ghusl, but there was no water available. So what Ammar did is he said I rolled around in the dirt like an animal, like you see like a zebra or something rolling around in the dirt. I rolled around in the dirt. Anyone to make a ghusl with the dust. I rolled around in the dirt like an animal would. In another wording here, he said, yes, I did that. I rolled around in the dirt like that, and I prayed. But Umar radiallahu anhu didn't pray. So he came back and he said, ثم أتيت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فذكرت ذلك له فقال إنما يكفيك أن تقول بيديك هكذا ثم ضرب بيديه الأرض ضربة واحدة ثم مسح الشمال على اليمين وظاهر كفيه ووجهه. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, it was enough for you to do like this. Then the Prophet ﷺ showed him, the Prophet ﷺ struck the ground once, like this. Then he wiped the left hand over the right, and the outside of and both of his palms, and he wiped over his face. He said that even if you're junub, that's all you have to do. Just that, like tayammum, like the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described in the Quran. Wipe your faces and you find a piece of earth and wipe your faces and your hands. Then, so Abu Musa, and he quoted the ayah to Abdullah bin Mas'ud, and he quoted this hadith. Then Abdullah bin Mas'ud said to him, أَلَمْ تَرَى عُمَرْ لَمْ يَقْنَعْ بِقَوْلِ عَمَّارٍ رضي الله عنهما. Abdullah bin Mas'ud said, didn't you see that Umar didn't accept what Ammar said? رضي الله عنه. And what the issue that they're discussing, whether it's okay for someone in janaba to make tayammum, it seemed to be that was the position of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud and Umar ibn Khattab. But since then, the entire ummah has agreed that it's acceptable for someone, whether they need to make wudu or ghusl. If they can't find water, they can make tayammum. Umar, they say that, well, it's obvious that for some reason Abdullah ibn Mas'ud took that position. He said to Abu Musa that Umar didn't accept what Ammar said. But that's not, Umar didn't actually reject what Ammar said. What happened was Ammar brought up that incident. He said, don't you remember when the Prophet ﷺ sent us together on this errand and this happened, I did this and you did this, and I came back to the Prophet ﷺ and he said such and such to me. Umar didn't actually reject that. In fact, Umar said, I don't remember that. He said, I don't remember that. Ammar, he said to Umar, who was the Khalifa at the time, if you say so, I won't tell anybody about it. If you say so, I won't spread this around. Umar said, نُوَلِّيكَ مَا تَوَلَّيْتَ. He said, I'm not going to stop you from telling that to anyone. You've taken you can, if you've accepted that responsibility, it's yours. So Umar, that if he was sure that that didn't happen, or the Prophet ﷺ didn't say that, he would have stopped Ammar from spreading it around. What he said was, I don't remember that, and it's very possible, and it could have been over a decade. That conversation could have taken a long time after the incident happened. So it's as if he was saying, I don't remember that, but I'm not going to question you. It's possible that I didn't remember it, you remembered it. If you want to take on the responsibility of quoting the Prophet ﷺ as saying something, then that's up to you. So it's not that Umar necessarily rejected what Ammar said or wasn't convinced by it. He Just say, I don't remember that. But if you remember that, then go ahead and tell other people that. Regardless, so it's not even 100% accurate to say that Umar actually firmly took the position that it's not permissible for someone who's in janaba to make tayammum. And after Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, the entire ummah has agreed that it's permissible, permissible for everyone who can't find water to make tayammum. And that's explicit in the ayah. And in some wordings of this incident, this conversation between Ibn Mas'ud and Abu Musa, they said when Abu Musa quoted the ayah to him, Ibn Mas'ud really he didn't have a response to that. Regardless, then that's something and there's no question about. Now, there's this hadith narrated by Ammar. There are several other hadith that are explicit about a person who is even in janaba making tayammum. Also, what concerns us in this hadith is the description of how the Prophet ﷺ told him to make tayammum, and it's something very simple. The Prophet ﷺ just hit the ground once, and then the wording in the hadith indicates that he wiped his hands before wiping his face. In the ayah, in Surah Al-Ma'idah, in Surah Al-Nisa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَامْسَحُوا بِوُجُوهِكُمْ وَأَيْدِيكُمْ. Wipe over your faces and your hands. So in the ayah, the word faces is before the word hands. All the wording in the ayah is faces and hands, not faces and then hands. The hadith seems to indicate that the Prophet ﷺ wiped his hands first and then his face. If someone follows the wording in the ayah, that's the safest thing to do. There's no debate about that. If someone follows the wording that's indicated by this hadith and wiping the hands first and then the face, they haven't gone against the ayah explicitly either, because the wording in the ayah doesn't specifically indicate that one has to come before the other. Now, we will just read this one hadith tonight, inshallah. Continue reading next week. Lord from Sahih Muslim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت وباركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. جزاكم الله خير.